All right, welcome into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network. I am Mike Kadlick, joined by 98.5 The Sports Hub's Alex Barth. It's been since Monday, but it's already been decently busy, I'd say, in Patriots world, among the NFL world. It's not that slow of an off season just yet. So we're going to get to some Patriots news here, and then we'll open it up as we usually do in the off season to some Q&A. So stick around. We'll get to some news, and then we'll open it up for questions. I wanted to say that this show is presented by Rocket Money. So go to rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat and cancel all those unnecessary subscriptions right now. Again, that's rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat to cancel your unnecessary subscriptions. All right, so Alex, off the top with some news. Ian Rappaport today reported that defensive line coach DeMarcus Covington had interviewed for the Chargers defensive coordinator position. Covington also interviewed for the Cardinals spot, same position, defensive coordinator, last week. Covington coached, he was the defensive coordinator of the Senior Bowl. Covington was named a young coach to watch, according to Tom Pelissero earlier this offseason. So there is definitely some momentum behind his tracks for sure. So what do you think of Covington still interviewing this sort of late in the coaching carousel?
Yeah, I mean, it's a late carousel this year between teams hiring multiple Super Bowl coaches to teams just taking their sweet ass time.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing here is, that Chargers job, I think, is reportedly going to go to the in-house candidate, but because of NFL rules, they have to interview out external candidates as well. But it's very clear teams think highly of Covington, and if it's not this offseason, and there's still a couple of jobs available, if it's not this offseason, then next offseason, I think he's a guy they could potentially lose. So I've talked about the pipeline a lot. I've mostly talked about it on offense, but it applies on defense as well. How for 20 years, they did such a good job just having the next guy ready to go and just kind of being on top of that coaching turnover. It's going to be interesting to see who the assistant defensive line coach is this year, because that may be somebody who's going to step into a bigger role next year. And I don't know why my camera's so washed out. Between Mike's microphone and my camera, seriously. Nothing works. So,
yeah, we got hashtag get Mike a new mic going on Twitter the other day. As soon as I announced this show, someone responded and said, "Do you have a new mic yet?" Unfortunately, I don't. It looks like so far it's in better shape than Alex's camera, but we'll see what's going on. You look great, Alex. You're fine.
Thank you.
So yeah, Covington gets another interview. Curious how that sort of will reshape the defensive side of the ball as far as coaches go, with Mayo being there as we don't really know yet, maybe assistant head coach type role. But they also said, Karen reported too that there might not be a change in title. Steve Belichick's still there. Will they be co-linebackers coaches again? Definitely interesting that Covington is still being asked to interview. So we'll see where that goes. I agree with you, though. I don't think anything's going to happen this cycle, but he'll definitely be a prime candidate next cycle. So we'll sort of see where they assign some guys this year, and that might determine where they go next year if they ultimately lose Covington. But
right.
So that happened today. What happened earlier this week, but it was reported today. The other big NFL news today was the Titans made a lot of cuts. Tackle Taylor Lewan, wide receiver Robert Woods, and kicker Randy Bullock were all cut from Tennessee today.
And linebacker Zach Cunningham.
Yes, that's right. I meant to add that. Cunningham as well was cut. So they were in $25 million of cap deficit, if you will. They were 25 over the cap, and now they are under. Now they're about, after Cunningham, I'm not sure what his hit was, but before that, they were around $5 million under the cap. So they saved a lot of space, but they also cut a decent amount of talent. And my eyes immediately went to Taylor Lewan, who, yes, he's 31, and yes, he suffered an injury last year. He's only played, I think, 20 games over the last 3 seasons, but when he's healthy, Lewan's a pretty good offensive tackle, and I don't think he's going to command a ton of money. He also mentioned on his podcast that he might end up retiring. He doesn't know yet. He's going to weigh his options, but that's where my mind immediately went, Patriots-wise, is maybe they bring in a guy like Taylor Lewan and give him a shot. What do you think? I'd love it if he's healthy, but
yeah, Mike's just hyping Taylor Lewan up because he wants those busting with the boys retweets.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess I wouldn't hate it. I just wonder, he's 32. He's coming off a torn ACL. There's a risk there. There's not a ton of upside there. It's not like they're pressed for cash where it's like, well, you take the risk, but you save some money. They don't need to operate that way. I'd rather see them take a more long-term approach at the tackle position, both in free agency and the draft. You got a bunch of good tackles that are under 30, like well under 30. I'd still look there. Cunningham is the one that interests me because they seemed very interested in him when he came out in the draft in 2017. Belichick was working him one-on-one at his pro day. They had a pre-draft meeting with him, and they didn't have a first-round pick that year. They traded it for Brandon Cooks, and then he went, I forget, it was 54th or 56th, and the Patriots were drafting 64th. Yeah. They just won the Super Bowl. So they never really had a chance to get him. And even when he got cut by the Texans, he was claimed on waivers by the Titans. So the Patriots we don't know if they had a waiver claim in or not, but they may not have had a shot to get him there either. Now he's a free agent. This might be like the first real chance they have to get him. Mm-hmm. Inside linebacker is a sneaky need. I think him next to Bentley, that would be a really good pairing. It gives you a lot. Those two combined can do just about everything you're going to need done at that position, short of coverage, but they have enough safeties to handle that. It would allow Jelani Tavia to play more on the edge where he was better last year. Mac Wilson, Raekwon McMillan, both free agents. And he doesn't count against the comp pick formula. He's a free agent now. They don't need to wait until March. Now, They probably will, as most teams do. It's very rare free agents, like guys who get cut, it's called a street free agent. It's very rare street free agents, even though they can do sign before the start of free agency, just because teams kind of want to see what the market's going to look like.
Right.
But he is somebody I could see the Patriots being in on. He's had a very good career to this point, had a little hiccup in 2021, breaking some team rules that had to do with COVID, but that's not an issue anymore.
Right.
So that's a guy I could see them being in on, and I would hope they'd be in on.
What about Robert Woods, wide receiver? Woods has been okay in his career. He was solid with the Rams to start, and then Kupp came along. Woods got hurt. He was kind of middling, I guess is the right word for it. He went to Tennessee this year. I believe I can't remember if it was a trade or free agency, but he was their de facto number one wide receiver, but didn't have a great year. But cap casualty for Tennessee. So you say no? You don't think? I mean,
no.
In my opinion, it's better than nothing, right? I mean, if they're going to try,
nothing's better. Nothing's better because you're going to have to pay him. You're not getting him on a prove-it deal. He had a decent year last year. He had 57 catches for 520-something yards. That's just
if you got to pay out of pocket for him, then no. He's better than Nelson Aguilar.
Right, but it's the same thing where, like, where does he fit on the depth chart? For what you're going to have to pay him, what you're going to have to pay him, he's going to take snaps away from Kendrick Bourne. He's going to take snaps away from Devontae Parker. He's going to take snaps away from Tyquan Thornton. He's not number one. Like, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it a lot this offseason. Unless the guy comes in and is the immediate, unquestioned top receiver on the depth chart, I am not interested in any other veteran wide receivers, just those guys. Robert Woods isn't number one here. He's not number two here. He might not be number three here, depending on how Tyquan's development goes.
Right.
At the same time, he's actually going to command some money because he had a decent year last year. No, that's a guy that's a guy for a team that like has their number one, but is short on the depth and needs secondary options. Like, honestly, for me, a place I think he would fit really well is if Cincinnati does have to trade T. Higgins, that's the guy you go and get to play next to Jamar Chase. That's not the guy
fit well with him and Boyd there too.
Yeah, I still think he might have, in terms of Woods, might have a little left in the tank. The Patriots don't need him. There's no role for him here.
I just don't know, and I'm not saying they should necessarily go after Woods, but I don't know how much money he's actually going to command. I mean, I'm looking at I know stats are stats, right? But he went from 1,200 to 1,100 to 900 yards, and then he played 9 games in 21 before tearing his ACL, had 556 yards, and then he played all 17 last year, and he only had 527. So his production went way down since he was playing in LA. So I don't think he's going to command a ton of money. So if he's going to be a cheaper option. Like, you're not going to have to break the bank for Robert Woods.
But they have money and they have depth. They don't need cheaper options. I would also say he put up 527 yards in one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to factor that in too. I mean, I'm just kind of looking at some comps from last year.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get more than Julio. Julio got $6 million at the age of 33.
Mm-hmm.
There really are no like 30-year-old. Jakeem Grant got $10 million at 30
That's
years old.
ridiculous. Yeah, but that kind of feels like an outlier now.
Well, that's the
Who gave
market. If I'm him,
Who gave Jakeem Grant $10 million?
that would be the Cleveland Browns. The Browns.
Jeez.
From the Bears to the Browns. I'll say this too, if we just want to talk about, and he's a little bit younger, but this might be a ballpark. And actually, let me pull up the numbers he had in 2021, because I actually think this is probably the comp. In 2021, he caught 38 passes for 410 yards and got a 3-year, $46.5 million contract, and that's Allen Robinson. Okay. I don't think he's getting Allen Robinson money.
No.
But if Jakeem Grant's getting 10 and Allen Robinson, I should use the AAV because there's a 3-year deal, and Allen Robinson's getting 15, you're probably looking at like 12 or 13, I would think, for Robert Woods. 1 year,
that's
12
way
million.
Too much.
Right. So I'm out. Like if it's
that's
like $5 million, fine. If you can sign him to the Kenny Britt, Eric Decker contract and bring him in for camp, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
He's going to get more than that. Actually, let's see, before we move on here, let's see what Spot Track estimates him at. That's the thing. It's tough to say at this point because it's so early in the process. All it takes is one contract to offset things. They don't have a, they don't have a guess evaluation form, but his AAV scheduled for the year was going to be 16.
That definitely is what made him a cut candidate. I mean,
for sure. Over the cap does valuations as well. Where's their valuation for him? Let's see here. Do they not have an evaluation for him either?
I kind of understand what you're saying about, like, he's just the Nelson Aguilar role, but I would still much rather Robert Woods than Nelson Aguilar. For cheaper than what Aguilar costed them. But I'm also with you that go ahead.
Over the cap has Woods 1 year, $12 million. And
that's the Aguilar deal cut in half.
But here's the thing. Okay, so you'd rather have Robert Woods over Nelson Aguilar. Like what is that?
Yeah, I know, because I still want them to go bigger in this category.
Here's the thing. You're still gonna have Bourne, you're still gonna have Parker, still gonna have Thornton. Got to add a number 1.
Yeah.
That's 4. That's so unless you're burying one of those guys, which can we not do that again?
No, I know.
You're signing a guy just to sign him, and that's when you get in trouble. That's how you end up with both Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry on massive contracts. Mm-hmm. If you sign a guy, especially that kind of money, you need to have a plan in place for him. And I don't see unless they're going to move Parker, I don't see what the plan is for Woods in New England. I don't see it.
I'm with you. So let's move on to the kicker. Randy Bullock.
Yeah.
Was actually a pretty good kicker.
Randy, baby.
Fat Randy. He's a pretty good kicker. We also have a pretty good kicker here in Nick Folk. So I don't see them kicking the tires on Randy Bullock unless for some reason Folk, I don't know. I don't see it, but I figured I'd throw it out there because they're sort of in the kicker conversation.
No, that's what we do on this show. If Folks for some reason retires,
right,
I don't hate bringing Bullock in, but I don't hate the idea of bringing in another kicker to compete with Folk, but I think it's got to be like a rookie or somebody young. Yeah. You want to bring in somebody who you hope you can hand the position to for 5 years, 10 years, right? So Bullock's
Tristan Vizcaino too. He just re-signed with the Cowboys.
Now I'm thinking draft.
I know, but
yeah. Bullock's 33. How long is he going to be your kicker for? Realistically, like at that point, you just ride with Nick Folk. So I'm good on Randy Bullock. Again, he's somebody I still think belongs in the league, and he'll land somewhere, and he'll be somebody's kicker next year. He doesn't make a ton of sense for the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. The bigger news of the day, I suppose, there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of radio talk about our quarterback, Mac Jones. Tom Curran from NBC Sports Boston sort of put the trade rumors to bed today. He was on the Rich Eisen show, and Eisen asked him if the Patriots were in the 2023 quarterback carousel, and Curran was quoted saying, absolutely positively no. Basically said, now this is unquoted but summarized, we'll see about 2024, but over Robert Kraft's dead body, will the Patriots get rid of Mac Jones this season? Kraft was adamant about Mac Jones and his confidence in him when he was doing a sort of interview, a media scrum, if you want to call it, over Super Bowl week. I know that Kraft has been involved in this sort of reset with the coaches. He's had his hands in it, and according to Karen, Kraft is not going to let that happen this year. So we can put those rumors to bed. It seems Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback in 2023.
Yeah, that doesn't that sound a lot like what somebody on this show was saying like 2 weeks ago, almost like verbatim, that they're not going to put Kraft out there to praise Mac Jones, the chance they trade him, and maybe we discuss it again next year, but it's a year too early. Mm-hmm. I wonder who said that. Of course they're not. Of course they're not going to trade Mac Jones. It is a year too early. That's not how any of this works. I know people are so disillusioned by 20 years with Tom Brady, and I get it, but there is a way quarterback development works. Now, granted, it's not supposed to include having a defensive coordinator call the plays in year 2, but Mac Jones, I know some people think he has. Mac Jones has not given them a real reason to quit on him yet. If you want to see a real reason to quit on a quarterback early, look down in New York. Yeah. He has not given them a real reason to quit on him. He has not given them a real reason to trust him long-term either. This is the make or break year. Unfortunately, 2022 was a waste. Mm-hmm. We have one good year, one bad year. So this is the year to decide it. So no, I don't think that, and would I, quarterback carousel can mean a couple of different things. How I interpreted that was they're not going to bring in a big name veteran quarterback. So that's Derek Carr. That's Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson were ever in play. So that probably makes the decision a little easier. I don't think that they're going to draft a quarterback high. Now, I don't think that they're realistically going to have a chance to draft a quarterback high without a major reach. I think Richardson, Young and Stroud, we know are going to be off the board. Richardson, I think, is going to be off the board by 14. Will Levis simply isn't good. I hope they don't draft
him. But he's going to get drafted somewhere.
He might 14. Still be on the board. Well, if there's any justice, he'll be on the board at 14 and 46, but he's not going to be. Some team's going to screw that up, and it's going to be the Colts. And then even Hendon Hooker, the thing with Hendon Hooker is if he's not healthy, taking him at 46 is too high. If he is healthy, he's going to be gone well before 46. So can they still take a guy on day 3? Can they still draft Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Jaron Hall or Max Duggan? Yeah, I wouldn't consider that the quarterback carousel. But if anybody's pushing Mac this year, it's Bailey Zappi. They're not bringing in anybody else who's seriously going to compete for that job.
No, I know. The other thing I wanted to sort of talk about with this is I think I don't know who was saying it. Might have been Zoe, and it sort of turned into a story that Mac's not in the building yet and not working with Bill O'Brien yet, which Greg Bedard wrote about today on Boston Sports Journal. That can't even happen yet. So that sort of spiraled out of control into nothing. I don't think Zoe was meaning to make it turn into anything, but naturally it did, and people started saying that, Mac's not working and he should be with Bill O'Brien, and he's not yet. But Mac has been training, and he's been training locally. He's not, his Nick Shimonik, the guy who he's been training with, has been coming out here to Boston to train with Mac. So Mac's here. I don't know. He hasn't posted on who he's trained with, right? But I'm sure he's working with receivers or is trying to, continue to throw the football. So, Mac works hard, and Mac stays local, and Mac wants to be the quarterback of the Patriots. And you can just tell by, the way he acts and the way he's training local. He's not just kind of kicking it to the curb like it was sort of spun into the last few days.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, he's not going to get traded. He's going to be the guy here, and I think that's a good thing. So let's go into your questions. But before we do that, I do want to talk about Rocket Money once again, because Rocket Money, it saves you a ton on subscriptions. It really does. I've talked about it on this show before, how I love ESPN Plus. I love college basketball. So that's my main subscription that I use all the time, and it's worth it. But there's also so many other subscriptions that you subscribe to all the time. HBO, Spotify, Apple, God, you name it. Netflix, Hulu, whatever it is, you pay for them, you forget about them, you don't use them, and then it just drains your bank account. Rocket Money helps you not do that. Um, that whole try it free for 30 days thing they talk about with subscriptions, it really is just enough to get you to use it and then lose it and forget about it. Before you know what's happening, you're paying for those subscriptions every single month, and Rocket Money can help you change that with just a few quick taps. Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, when actually that totals closer to $200. If you don't know exactly how much you're spending, you need Rocket Money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that helps you cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. It quickly and easily identifies all of the subscriptions you have and helps you decide which ones you don't want anymore. All you got to do is find the ones you don't want, press cancel, and then Rocket Money will take care of the rest. There's no more hold times with customer service. There's no more tedious emails back and forth. Those can always be a pain. Rocket Money takes that out, and there's just literally a big cancel button. You click it, and your subscription's gone. So stop throwing your money away now. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat. That's rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat. rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat. It's right below us here. I'll say it one more time, rocketmoney.com/PatsBeat. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now. All right, let's open up the floor. Unless you had anything else on Mac, I kind of ended that abruptly, but
no, that's fair. I got a couple I want to get to real quick. First off, Perfect. When's our next mock draft? Honestly, so I was thinking about this probably the week after the combine, one of those days. That's that'll be a good time to reset it. We'll have a lot of new information.
Yeah, totally.
And at that point, we'll probably be off and running because then free agency is going to be right after that. So
right,
a little bit of housekeeping there. This is a good question. Does a third and a future third or fourth get the Jerry Jeudy deal done? Feels possible to keep our top two picks based off his rumored value. That might be an overpay. There was a report at the trade deadline that the Broncos were looking for a second and fifth for Jerry Jeudy. I might rather do the second and fifth than 2/3, honestly. I think I would rather do it that way. So I mean, I'll leave that. I think a third and a third would certainly get it done. Mm-hmm. Third and a fourth certainly would get it done, but I don't know what I'll in the chat weigh in. Would you rather, and Mike, obviously you too, would you rather go up a second and a fifth or a third and a third?
Is it a second and a fifth this year versus a third this year and a third next year?
Yeah, we'll call it that. Sure.
I'd probably rather spread it out.
Okay.
That's
fair.
Yeah, I like spreading it out because it happens to me every year, and I'm sure it happens to a lot of people.
Well, let me ask this. What if it's a second this year and a fifth next year?
I would probably rather the second and the fifth trade away. Okay. I don't know. It's tricky. It's close. But the reason I was saying spread them out was because I feel like every year you're like, oh, just trade away those picks. Trade away those picks. They don't matter. But then as soon as you sort of start to scout the players that are available and you see all these guys and it's like, now guys in every single round. It's like, oh, there's value all across this board. We shouldn't have threw away that third round pick last year.
So we'll do a quick little story time here. I remember my first year doing the draft. I was all excited. I found all these prospects I liked. I think my final mock draft, I ended up trading a bunch and ended up with like 14 picks. I had to take all these guys, right?
Yeah.
It's important to remember there's a draft next year too.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of players you like next year too. Trust me. So if a guy's really that unique, right, he's going in the first round.
Yeah.
So I would rather go second and fifth. I think that they could probably package a couple of those fourths, move back up onto day two, and 2/3 in this draft. To me, I'll take that if I'm getting Jerry Jeudy. Okay, right. Let me extrapolate this a little bit. Second and a fifth for Jerry Jeudy, and then you take 2 of the 3/4 you have. You trade those for a third. So now you've essentially traded a second, 2/4, and a fifth for Jerry Jeudy and a third.
You know that meme of Charlie Day where he's...
Okay, hang on. So I'll one step further. Basically, you move down from the second to the third round.
Okay.
You move down from the second to the third round to get Jerry Jeudy, and you give up 2 picks outside the top 150.
Sold. You get that number one wide receiver here, it's over. Like, that's
right.
huge.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it, at least.
Yeah,
like
I
would
agree.
rather do it that way. You start giving up multiple top 100 picks. That's where I start to get a little hesitant.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So,
but I mean, I would love for them to make this happen, right? I mean, it's perfect for what they need right now, and it's the blueprint's there. And again, I say it all the time on the show, but you look at Josh Allen with Diggs, and you look at Tua with Tyreek Hill, and you look at Joe Burrow when they drafted Chase, and it's like they need these guys. You need that number one guy in your offense, focal point, and that's what the Patriots need to do this offseason heading into year 3. They got to make it happen. It's been rumored, it's been talked about, but it's got to happen because we've talked about the Patriots wide receiver room for years, and they've yet to really make that giant splash. Now's the time to do it. So I also am curious about your thoughts, and I've seen this a few times in the chat. Brandon Ayuk. Josh says Ayuk would be his guy. The other thing that came up, which made me think of it too, is that him and Kendrick Bourne played together in San Fran. I don't know how much that's really worth. I mean, money talks in the league. It's fun to think about guys playing together again, but thoughts on Ayuk? I mean, I would love him here, but this is similar to Debo. Why are they trading him?
Well, they're trading Ayuk because they're going to have to pay Debo. That's why.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
My thing with him, he hasn't produced on his own. He's been very productive, but he's done that as the third or fourth coverage responsibility because teams are focusing on Debo over him. They're focusing on Kittle over him. They also might be focusing on McCaffrey over him. Like, realistically, what's going to happen when he's got a number one corner with help on him? Can he win that way? Like, I don't think he's a bad receiver, but he really hasn't been tested. He really hasn't had to win on his own, and he's going to have to do that here. And too much of an unknown for me. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just not taking the risk for what it would cost on the off chance that it turns out he's just a product of playing with a ton of talent in San Francisco.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's sort of like what I said with Robert Woods. I mean, it's better than nothing. Like, I would take Ayuk. I think he's a great wide receiver. I would probably rather a guy like Judy or maybe Higgins over him. Do you have a question? But I have another one.
Let's see. What else do we got here?
I got one here. I want to do this. 2 years later, what grade would you give the 2022 free agent haul of Matt Judon, Jalen Mills, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne? I was already thinking about this as I read it, waiting for this, so I sort of have an answer for the grade itself. And I'm going to go with a C+.
Yeah.
Judon's been...
I was going to say B-.
Okay. Judon, because Judon's been excellent. Mills has been really solid at corner. Jonnu and Hunter Henry and Aguilar have been very bad. They haven't impressed. But Kendrick Bourne has been solid when he's played. Like, Kendrick Bourne this year wasn't a bad football player. It just sort of got away from him with Patricia and that whole thing. It kind of just became a whole situation. Yeah. But Kendrick Bourne's a good football player, and he's going to be a damn good football player this year. Henry and Smith, I still want to give them a chance because Henry was good 2 years ago. This year wasn't great, but nobody on offense was great outside of Ramondre. So, and then Jonnu Smith, I want to see how they can, work with him too. So I'm going to say C+. I still think there's opportunity for Henry and Smith, but I mean, Aguilar was not great. Wasn't a great signing.
Yeah, I go with B- because it's been good and bad, but I think more good than bad. Judon's obviously a hit. Mills, I think, has been more good than bad. I know that he missed some time, but I think he's been good when he's on the field. Hunter Henry's been solid. Honestly, everybody talks about the tight ends being a bust. Mm-hmm. If Hunter Henry, with the production Hunter Henry gave them in 2021, if he carries that over to 2022 without the whole offense being a mess, like, he's a good signing. But I think because Jonnu Smith's been such a disaster, and we debated this we debated that on the show a lot that spring. Who would you rather have, Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith? I wanted Hunter Henry, by the way. What's up, Evan?
I was cutting up clips, baby. I was on the back end of the YouTube back then.
I think Hunter Henry, honestly, his legacy gets dragged down by like being paired with Jonnu Smith. Bourne's been great. It's kind of like Hunter Henry. He kind of got caught up in the effery, right? Mm-hmm. In the a bunch of words I frankly don't want to say that was the offense last year. But I think he was a good signing overall. Like at this time last year, that looked like maybe the best wide receiver contract in football. Nelson Aguilar was obviously a dud. So, to go through it. Judon, absolute hit. Jalen Mills, pretty solid hit. Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, fair what could have been. And then Aguilar and Jonnu Smith, your misses. If they have another class like that this year, they're going to be in very good shape. They're going to be in very good shape. Now, can they do it? We'll see. But like if they were to, and by class like that, I mean just like the impact.
Yeah,
you look at the impact that these guys made. They got enough impact players to justify it. Excuse me. If they can get a similar impact from this year's free agency class where they have some money to spend, I think they'll be in good shape.
Yeah, and I still, going back to that before we move on, is I still think there's potential with Jonnu because I don't think he's a bad football player. Aguilar, I mean, again, it's tough to say they're NFL players, right? Nobody's bad, but like Aguilar wasn't good. What?
Wow. Ian Rappaport. The Broncos spent today with an intriguing candidate for their vacant defensive coordinator job.
Shut up.
Matt Patricia. Sources tell me and Tom Pelissero, the former Patriots assistant, is in Denver speaking with Sean Payton today. Rex Ryan, Vance Joseph are also top candidates. Good luck.
So, all right. I saw that in the chat.
Good luck, Denver.
I saw that in the chat, and I thought someone was just saying it because I have Rappaport's tweet notifications on. But before we came on the show, I tweeted something about Odell and Kraft having a picture. So my Twitter went crazy, and so I lost it. And so I didn't have that. And so I'm like, that is crazy. Okay.
Hey, look, it's not as an offensive coordinator.
No, it's defensive. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Let's pause the Q&A for a second.
I think we gotta
break this thing down. That is something. Okay, so
it's not what I was expecting to see.
No, we'll read it again. The Broncos spent today with an intriguing candidate for their vacant defensive coordinator job, Matt Patricia. Sources tell Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, the former Patriots assistant, is in Denver speaking with Sean Payton today. Rex Ryan and Vance Joseph are also top candidates. So obviously, I mean, the Patriots didn't have to. God, this is nuts. The Patriots didn't have to approve of this. He, according to multiple reports, is not under contract, so he is free to do whatever he wants. We knew he wasn't going to come back, but he hasn't coached defense as a defensive coordinator since before he got the head coaching job with the Lions. He came back here and was an assistant of sorts upstairs. He coached the offense last year. Was abysmal, and now looks to be in conversation to be the Broncos defensive coordinator. I liked Rex Ryan here because I think Rex is a pretty good DC. He also hasn't done the job in a while. But man, I don't know what Sean Payton be doing if he brought Matt Patricia into that fold. That would be quite the threesome of him, Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, and Matt Patricia. That's for sure.
Well, so they are interviewing for defensive coordinator, not offensive.
I know, but I just mean three personalities in there is something.
I'm just going to go back through this here. The 3 years Matt Patricia was in Detroit, their defensive ranking by year, first to last, 16th, 26th, 32nd. And then if I go to the New England Patriots, when he was the DC, so that would have began in 2017. Yeah, there's some pretty good years there, but was not good in Detroit.
No, he wasn't.
Look, take him. I did not think.
Yeah, see you later.
Okay, so I thought there was maybe a chance that he would go somewhere and get like a linebacker coaching job or like
maybe back to college.
Defensive. No,
not back.
He's always been an NFL coach, but
yeah,
I thought he'd get like a linebacker coaching job, maybe just like general defensive assistant, defensive advisor, something like that. I did not think he was going to jump back into a coordinator job. Now, maybe this is Sean Payton doing another veteran coach a solid and getting his stock back up. What exactly, I would love to know what Sean Payton saw. Especially, hopefully, somebody had Google available and showed him the piece done by Andrew Callahan and Karen Gregan.
Yeah, seriously.
After all that, to bring that guy in and say, hey, maybe he's the guy for our football team. By the way, Broncos defense has been really good. I know they were a joke last year. They've been a top 5 defense the last 3 years.
Yeah. Who was their DC last year when after they cleaned house?
I can't remember. But
that is something. I mean, what's the benefit? There's I just don't understand the benefit here. It seems like they want to put together a powerhouse coaching staff, right? With Sean Payton, and now you have Rex Ryan, who they were trying Rex Ryan for DC. Obviously, Patricia's interviewing for that job as well. But I mean, if you want to put together a top tier staff, Matt Patricia's not that. I don't know, Sean. That Denver man, that is an interesting place. They make some interesting decisions, that's for sure. Extending Russell Wilson before he plays it down there. Nathaniel Hackett fired after a year. Sean Payton gets a bag. Rex Ryan's getting interviews. Matt Patricia's now getting interviews. I mean, look, I don't know. I'm shocked. That was funny, Alex. The way you were like, "Wow!" I was like, "What could this be?"
Because I just was not expecting to see.
Yeah, that is okay. So who would you rather?
Broncos country,
Alex?
Let's ride.
Yeah, baby. Who would you rather? Let's play Would You Rather. As your defensive coordinator, if you are the Denver Broncos,
Vance
would
Joseph.
you rather Rex Ryan, Vance Joseph?
Vance Joseph.
Okay.
Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph's done it recently. I think Vance Joseph is a good defensive coordinator. I don't think he's a very good head coach, but I think he's a good defensive coordinator. That's not to say Rex Ryan isn't. He's just been away from the game for a while.
Yeah.
So that worries me. But Vance Joseph, to me, is easily the pick from that group.
Yeah, I go Rex. I like Rex. I like what he's about as far as he's a player's coach. He rallies the troops. He called great defenses with the Ravens, won Super Bowl there. He was a good head coach for a while. He brought the Jets to 2 AFC Championship games. He fizzled out with the Bills, and I think he's good on TV. I know Patriots fans don't like Rex that much, but I think he's a good coach. He hasn't been around for a while, so that's kind of iffy. But I mean, it's not Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia is definitely not the pick, but he may be gone to Denver. So,
by the way, the Patriots play the Broncos in Denver next year.
Oh, that's too good. That's good stuff. That's fun stuff. Okay, well, we'll wait for that. I guess we can get back to the Q&A. Man, so we've reacted to this live on air. We reacted to Gerard Mayo live on air. So they do it. They want to hear our live reactions, I suppose.
All right, I want to find one because somebody asked me about a certain prospect. This guy we haven't talked about. No, I got to go back through everybody reacting to Matt Patricia here. What about Bijan Robinson?
Okay.
Fantastic running back. Love watching him carry the football. My comp for him, I had a really good comp for him. I can't remember who it was. Just good downhill power back.
Edgerrin James?
No.
Okay, I thought you said
was that yours?
On here. No, I'm pulling up my stuff now, but I thought yours was Edgerrin James, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember who it was. He's just a good downhill power back. You don't draft running backs that high. That's such a luxury pick. Yeah. If you're drafting a running back who's not going to contribute in the passing game, look, Bijan might go in the first round. He's going to go in the
probably going to. He's going to be the first back off the board. I think
Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the best back in this draft, but a lot of people think it's Robinson. They can't draft him that high. They have too many needs. Good football player, but way too much of a luxury pick.
Yeah, it's. I mean, think about the teams that have drafted running backs in the first round lately. It's the Steelers. They took Najee Harris. The Giants did it with Saquon Barkley. But like you said, it's a luxury pick. Teams that pick them, it's either they're one of the best prospects you've ever seen in Saquon, or the Steelers, who didn't really have a huge need when they took Najee. If I'm the Patriots, I'm not touching Bijan. I think they have that downhill power back already in Ramondre. I would focus on Jahmyr Gibbs if I'm the Patriots, but they're not going to take him at 14. That's the reach we talked about last week, on Monday rather. But I mean, I like Bijan. He's my favorite back in the class. But
By the
I
way,
mean,
my comp was Leonard Fournette.
okay, that's solid. I mean, my ceiling for him would be like Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, that's
but
probably the ceiling.
Yeah, but my ceiling floors, if you read them, they're kind of rude sometimes because my floor for him is Trent Richardson.
Well,
But I don't think
you go to the extremes.
exactly. But I mean, that's how you got to think of it. Those are the types of players they are. If they fizzle out, it's Trent Richardson. If he hits his complete ceiling, it's Adrian Peterson. So, but no, he's a good back. I think he's the number one.
Yeah. So I again, I like him, but just not a pick.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Let's see. Why not? Sorry, there is a lot of Matt Patricia reactions in the chat, so we got to fizzle through these. So I want to bring this up because it wasn't a report. It was an ESPN Plus article that came out yesterday, and I apologize, I can't think of who wrote the piece, but they outlined the top 50 free agents, and they gave their best fits in free agency, basically, what teams they would fit well with. And Jawan Taylor, free agent offensive tackle for the Jaguars, his best fit was New England. There was also the other one for the Patriots. Best fit was safety Jordan Poyer from the Bills. So, bouncing off this question, which is should the Patriots go after Mike McGlinchey or Jawan Taylor for their right tackle, in your opinion? I think McGlinchey's better. I think Jawan Taylor's more likely. I would take both of them. I think they need to sign someone in free agency, but I thought Taylor being a fit for the Patriots was interesting in that piece. It sparks the conversation, and someone you didn't, not that you didn't really think about because he's in that sort of tackle class coming up. But I would take McGlinchey over Taylor, but I still think Taylor's a fine option in free agency.
Yeah, either one of these guys is going to be your starting right tackle for the next 4 or 5 years. You're not going to have to worry about that position. Mm-hmm. I personally, honestly, I was on McGlinchey to start. The more I watched Taylor, he, not that I thought he was a bad player, but like the gaps really closed for me.
Yeah.
I just loved what McGlinchey brought as a run blocker. Like I thought he was such a major plus as a run blocker.
Yeah, he is.
Taylor's really well-rounded. He might have some, positional versatility. You might even, if in an emergency, be able to play him at left. So I'll take either one. I'm good with either one.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one. Hyatt or Flowers or Addison. This is kind of one of these things is not like the others.
No.
Flowers and Addison, both candidates at 14, both candidates to be the first receiver off the board.
Yep.
I like Addison better. I just think he's a little bit more explosive. He's much bigger than Flowers. Like the side's not as much of an issue. I also think he can play on the boundary in the NFL. Flowers is probably a pure slot at the next level. Jalen Hyatt, to me, is one of the more overhyped players in this draft. And that's not to say he can't be successful, but he's got to go to the right place. I don't think his bags is deep. He's Tyquan Thornton. Like, that's the comp for me. He's Tyquan Thornton. He's 6'3", and he runs very fast in a straight line. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So there's certainly use for that in this league, but if we're talking for the Patriots specifically, they really don't need to draft Jalen Hyatt. They already did.
I would agree with everything you said. I think Hyatt, I do it a lot, but high ceiling, low floor. He really only had one good year of production in college, and it was this year, and it was with Hendon Hooker, who was a Heisman candidate. Not saying that he was a complete product of that system with him and Heupel, but I'd be interested to see what he does again in a different system and whatever. So, but again, those two, the two top slot receivers in the class, different category than Hyatt. Those first two are going to be first round picks. Hyatt's probably not going to be. We should have a breaking news ticker once things like that happen.
Yeah,
I just saw that.
I used to play like an air raid sound off my phone. I don't know why I didn't do that. Evan hated that. Okay, Mike, here you go. This is your guy, Cam Smith or Joey Porter Jr.?
Joey Porter, all day. And nothing against Cam Smith. I think Cam Smith's a great prospect. He's a DBU guy from South Carolina. Yeah. They breed them down there lately. He's solid, but I think Joey Porter's the best corner in the class. He's long. He makes plays with his length. Ceiling Richard Sherman, long guy who makes plays with his length. I just think he's the best corner in the class. I think I would be very pleased with Joey Porter at 14. The Patriots always, whenever they win Super Bowls, they have a number one cornerback that they can rely on in the pass game every single down, every single game, every single week. You look at Ty Law, you look at Darrelle Revis, you look at Stephon Gilmore. They've always had that guy, and Joey Porter Jr.'s ceiling is that guy. So if you can get someone like that at 14, I like it. So I'd take him over Cam Smith. What about you?
I would too. I think he's better.
Yeah.
I like Cam Smith as well, but I think Joey Porter's just kind of got that it factor that you're not seeing with any of these other guys.
100%.
His motor's unreal.
Yeah,
like he's never going to be outworked on a play. I've never once seen him outworked on a play.
Yeah,
and you can't help but love that.
Right.
So, all right, who else we got here? We want
Jamal
Cam
Dean?
Newton talk.
Oh,
you got any thoughts on Cam Newton?
Cam Newton. Okay, let's do it. I don't have many thoughts on Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton, an awesome person. He was an awesome quarterback with the Panthers. He made life easy-ish for Bill Belichick post Tom Brady. He, again, great teammate. Everyone seems to love him. But he's not a great quarterback, and that's okay to admit. He's done. I'm sorry. I don't think he's going to come back. I don't think he's going to come back here. But he had a great career, and that's what I got on Cam Newton. Good dude. He fell off as a football player.
Fair enough. I said a couple people asking about Zach Cunningham. We talked about Zach Cunningham at the beginning of the show. If you want to go back, we touched on all of those Titans releases. People asking about Jalen Ramsey. A lot of people asking about Jalen Ramsey. I feel like we're doing this every show now.
But I like it.
You want to trade for Jalen Ramsey?
No, I don't want to trade for him. I think he's going to be a cap casualty. And I think, those F them picks strategy with McVay and what's his face out there. I would take him, but I'm not paying top dollar for him.
Look, if he's,
I don't think he's completely washed like you do. I think he's still a quality cornerback.
If he's going to be a cap casualty, I'll give him a prove-it deal to come be a safety. I have not liked him as a corner the last couple of years, and I'm certainly not trading for him. I'm certainly not giving him. I mean, I think you're talking about like $14 million comes on your books for the next 3 years, not just this year, as he gets ready for his age 29 season. I'm out on Jalen Ramsey. There's other corners you can go get. There's better ways to do it. Go get James Bradbury for 1 year, $10 million.
Yeah,
just had a great year. Yeah. Had a great year. You can save some money. I'm good on Jalen Ramsey.
Have you watched any Parker Washington, wide receiver from Penn State?
I mean, just what I saw, like watching college football this year. Yeah, I like him. He's got a little like sneaky explosiveness.
Yeah, he is.
I kind of put him, like I have him. So if we're gonna do the tiers, right? I probably have him there with like, who's the guy from Maryland? Rakim Jarrett from Maryland.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Like early day 3 guys. Like I got him a step below Tank Dell. He's an okay player. Now I'll be honest. I don't study the Penn State guys a ton, just because they never ever draft Penn State. So
okay.
If they go to the pro day like they did last year, like last year they were at the pro day. Was it 2 years ago? No, it was last year because they were working closely with Jahan Dawson. That was a report. Was there like one-on-one? That's when like, all right, now I'm sort of interested, but I'll be like, I never get excited about Penn State guys.
He feels like a Jahan Dotson reincarnate a little bit. He's 5'10", so he's a little smaller. He's shifty.
Yeah, I don't know. Jahan Dotson to me was much more explosive.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Like a better route runner. He's a fine player.
Yeah, I wonder about if there's any more Penn State connections still with Billy O, or if those are completely washed out by now.
Well, no, those would have been, because last year I remember when we thought they were going to sign him, like he coached Allen Robinson at Penn State.
Oh yeah.
There were a couple other guys that he coached or recruited to Penn State.
Godwin.
No, Godwin was the other one. Yeah. So Godwin, I don't think Godwin's becoming available. I think it's Mike Evans, if anybody.
That would be interesting.
Between Godwin and Allen Robinson, I don't remember. One of them he recruited and coached. One of them he just recruited, and he like recruited him to Penn State and then left for Houston that spring. Robinson's older, I think, so it would have been Godwin. But yeah, that would be the connection if we're going to start talking about Penn State connections. Charlie Jones is an interesting one. Yeah. Charlie Jones, to me, is like a carbon copy of Jacoby Myers from like 3 years ago. Not rookie Jacoby Myers. Like, he's a little further ahead because Jacoby had a transition from being a quarterback, but he's going to go 7 yards. He's going to find the hole in the zone. He's going to catch the football. Like, that's his game. Yeah. He's somebody they're definitely going to be interested in. It's going to be really interesting to see what he runs at the combine.
Yeah, I agree. I want to go to this question because I've been thinking about it as I read it too, just like the other one. Two potential players that are going to have a breakout year with the Patriots. I am going to say this is potential, so it depends on what happens with free agency, the draft, who they bring in. But I think Kendrick Bourne has a chance for a breakout year. And I think Kyle Duggar has a chance to break out even further. Kendrick Bourne.
I mean, I feel like a Kyle Duggar breakout year at this point is an all-pro.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that's his ceiling. I think he's going to be fantastic this year. He's improved every year. He's going to have more responsibility back there with McCourty gone. I know they play different, but he'll be every single down like McCourty was, I assume. And he has a chance to really break out and show why he's a top 5 safety in the NFL. Kendrick Bourne, it depends on what they do with the room. But if Bourne is your slot guy that you center the offense around, depending on what they bring elsewhere, I'm almost okay with that because we saw what KB brings to the table 2 years ago. And he's good. He was good in San Francisco. He was good here. He has a chance to be great with Bill O'Brien if they center the offense around him.
So I everybody knows how I feel about Kendrick Bourne. I'm a huge fan of his. But just for the sake of being different here.
Sure.
His first season, and I'm not saying James White's going to break out season, but the first season, like, they really gave James White the reins as the pass catching back. 60 catches, 551 yards, 5 touchdowns. If they really go all in on Pierre Strong in that role this year, if they mirror kind of how they develop James White and that's his job, and they move Ramondre back to early downs, I think Pierre Strong's going to have a monster year. I do. So I'm going to say Pierre Strong on offense. I guess it just says 2, but we'll do offense defense because it's more fun that way. I think Marcus Jones is a breakout year as a corner. We know what he can do as a returner. We know he can have fun on offense, but if Jonathan Jones leaves, like, he's probably your full-time slot corner at this point. And seeing him against Devontae Adams, seeing him against DeAndre Hopkins last year, got me excited. So I'll go Pierre. I'm going to go with 2 second-year players, 2 big sophomore years, Pierre Strong and Marcus Jones.
All right. When is this going to come? Extend to Duggar is the comment. This has to get done.
I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. And that there's no inside information in that.
Okay.
I just think safeties are kind of starting to inch their way towards being one of those luxury positions. The inflation of the contracts at the safety position is well above the rest of the league outside of maybe quarterback. Unless the Patriots really back up the Brinks truck, I think he's going to want to hit the open market and see what he's worth. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't come back, because the Patriots will pay a premium in the secondary. I think they clearly like him. It could be one of those things where it's go out, see what your market is, come back to us, we'll try to match it. His market's going to be insane, and they're going to have to really pay him to get him to pass up on that. And if you're going to have to pay him a ton anyway, why do it early, right? Why not wait and see what happens? So
fair.
I think Onwenu is the most likely for an extension, right? The 3 guys this offseason are Duggar, Onwenu, and Josh Uche. Josh Uche's situation is fascinating because
I agree.
He has like half a good season under his belt, but he was one of the best pass rushers in football. He's a top 5 pass rusher for that half season. So if you're the Patriots, can you get him early at cost? And you hope that those, 10 games were who he really is now. And now, boom, you've got a top 5, top 10 pass rusher well under market. But does Josh?
But are you also just buying high? Yeah.
Right. But, right. Are you risking that? Or does Josh Uche look at it and say, I had those great games, I'm going to cash in now? Or does he bet on himself? Because if he puts together a full season of that production, he's going to be a top 10 free agent money-wise. Yeah. So that one's fascinating to me. My guess is Uche bets on himself. He seems like the kind of guy that would do that. And I don't think the Patriots are necessarily going to pay for what it would take to keep him off the market. His situation's fascinating. Duggar, I think, is just too good. He's going to hit the market. And Onwenu I could see. Because you're going to get, ideally, hopefully, draft one tackle. So you have one guy for 4 years on a team-friendly deal. See what you pay the other tackle. But if you can make it work, you have Cole Strange on a rookie deal. You get Onwenu set. Now, boom, your offensive line. You see what happens with David Andrews. Would he retire? Right. But for the most part, your offensive line's set for the next couple of years. And you can feel very comfortable with that. So I don't think like an Onwenu extension for me, or any of these extensions really, I don't think happen until after the draft. Honestly, probably like after OTAs.
Yeah, I would agree.
But like if we find out heading into camp, hey, Michael Onwenu signed an extension, that would make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, I'd agree. Let's close. Unless you have any more.
Can we bring this one up? Yeah, because I just saw this. Chris Smith from Georgia is a perfect compliment to Kyle Duggar. I've seen nobody talk about Chris Smith. I don't know why. I love this kid out of Georgia. Had a great Senior Bowl. I say this all the time. There's so few free safeties left, like coming into the league now. So many guys play combo safety, if not fully box. Chris Smith's a true free safety. He's got tremendous tremendous athleticism, tremendous instincts. Obviously comes from a pedigree program, a program the Patriots like.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about Trey Dean, on day 2, maybe early on day 3. Jordan Battle on day 2, on day 3. We know they like Alabama, but we've left Chris Smith out of the conversation. I don't think that's right. This is a guy that could totally step into the Devin McCourty role. So
I was going to say
I haven't seen him talk about a ton, so I'm glad I'm not the only one who's aware of him. Thanks for the comment, Jim.
Yeah, it's going to depend on McCourty, right? I think. I mean, not really, because you can still bring in a guy and play him behind McCourty for a year. But if McCourty's gone, I could see Smith coming in for sure. So what I wanted to close out with, Alex, is this one. Because we play the let's talk about what the Patriots are going to do, not what we're going to do. But let's close out with this. In a fantasy world where you are the GM, what's your dream offseason? You go first.
Well, mine is, I've already written it. It's about 5,000 words long, and it's up on 985thesportshub.com. It's my pinned tweet. It's my pinned tweet if you want to check it out. My 10-point plan for the offseason, but basically re-sign, in no particular order, Jabril Peppers, Joe Cardona, one of Mac Wilson and Raekwon McMillan, Connor McDermott, I guess they already did. I had a couple other guys in there. Damian Harris, if he'll take a team-friendly contract. In free agency, get a starting right tackle. Get a veteran corner who's over 6'1". So that could be James Bradbury. That could be Jamel Dean. That could be a number of guys. Add a veteran pass-catching back. Add a couple other positions in there as well. In the draft. And then trade for Jerry Jeudy. And then in the draft, first-round pick. Get a starting left tackle. And then with the rest of the picks, draft a big corner, draft a pass-catching back, draft an athletic linebacker, draft a free safety. And I think that was pretty much it. I don't know. I might have missed some stuff. 985thesportshub.com or at @RealAlexBarth on Twitter. You can find it. It's my pinned tweet. Yeah, I spent like a week writing that thing. I went pretty in-depth. Oh, and extend one of Kyle Duggar, Mike Onwenu, or Josh Uche. That was actually on my list.
Mine was going to be first things first. I mean, it's not going to happen first, but you got to extend Duggar. I'm doing this as we go, so I would love to trade for T. Higgins, but then I can't draft Joey Porter Jr. So that kind of tumbles on top of itself. So let's go trade for Jerry Jeudy, draft Joey Porter with your first overall pick, draft Jahmyr Gibbs with the second pick, 46. You let Harris walk, re-sign Duggar. You sign Jawan Taylor. You then draft a later round tackle, and yeah, I like that. So what we just did is you trade for Jeudy, you lock up the wide receiver, you draft Joey Porter Jr. at 14, you lock up your corner, you sign a tackle in free agency, you then draft Jahmyr Gibbs because he just worked with Bill O'Brien. You can then let Damian Harris walk, and you have a 1-2 punch in the backfield. And then Yeah, you re-signed Duggar and you signed Jawan Taylor. So that's what we got. So that's gonna do it for us, everybody. We got some breaking news on the show again.
Yeah.
Let's run that back quick because the Denver Broncos have interviewed Matt Patricia for their vacant defensive coordinator job. So I'm sure we'll have plenty more on that. So you can follow the both of us on Twitter at Real Alex Barth, at Mike Kadlick. Read us both on 98.5 The Sports Hub for Alex and CLNSmedia.com for myself. We will be back next week. We're working on some guests coming down the pike, so be sure to keep those tweet notifications on. Make sure to keep subscribing to the YouTube channel. Again, we'll be back next week, so make sure until then, follow us, read us, and keep up with us. So thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next week.